And after reading, you think, oh gosh, how can I cut this down and make it shorter so I can get the program moving along? This person, you can't cut down for bio. She's that accomplished. An award-winning researcher, Dr. Wendy Osefo, is a Nigerian-American television personality and highly sought-after progressive political commentator and strategist. Wendy is a professor of education at Johns Hopkins University, contributor at The Hill, and founder and CEO of the 1954 Equity Project. Sorry, I mispronounced that. In addition to her extensive policy experience, Dr. Osefo has been interviewed by and provided commentary for CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, ABC, Fox Business, BBC, Headline News, Russian TV, The Washington Post, In Touch Weekly, Business Insider, One America Radio News, or TV One, just to name a few. Dr. Osefo has a weekly radio segment on Radio 193.9 entitled Three Things You Need to Know with Dr. Wendy O. She holds her Bachelor's in Political Science from Temple, a Master's in Government Relations from Johns Hopkins, and a Master's in Science from Public Affairs from Rutgers University. Dr. Osefo made history in 2016 when she became the first black woman to earn a PhD in Public Affairs Community Development from Rutgers University. Dr. Osefo is the 2018 recipient of the Black Woman in Media, News, and Journalism Award, the 2017 recipient of the Johns Hopkins Diversity Recognition Award, the 2017 award of the Johns Hopkins University Outstanding Graduate Award. She is a Baltimore Business Journal 40 Under 40 and a 25 Women to Watch honoree. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very accomplished Dr. Wendy Osefo.
Good afternoon. I was sitting there and he was reading that bio and I was just like, who is that person? I'll take it. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you this afternoon. I want to give a special thank you to the committee, the organizers, for having me here with you today. A special thanks to Dan Levert and his team for your kindness and generosity. After marrying my husband almost 8 years ago, who happens to be a lawyer, I remember making a few promises to myself. After attending what I think is one too many barrister balls, one of those promises was to never be in a room full of attorneys. It's true, because you all are some of the most convincing and talkative people I've ever met, not to mention you drink like fishes. But here we are. I'm in a room full of attorneys. When I initially received this invitation to speak here with you guys today, my first thought was, why would bankruptcy attorneys care about the interplay that exists between the Trump administration and racism? The truth is, we each have a responsibility to care. But the honest truth is, most of us never accept that responsibility. When we see situations that happen to people, our first thought is always, that's those people. That doesn't matter because it's not happening to me. And therefore, it makes it okay. But in the words of the great Martin Luther King Jr., who passed away almost 50 years ago, based on issues of race and racism, there comes a time when the silence of your friends becomes the voice of your enemies. I stand here not pointing fingers, but speaking from my own experience. In life, we all experience our own awakening. However, it is how we respond to that awakening and who benefits from our awakening that truly matters. When we think through history, we can compose a long list of some of the movements and struggles that have impacted Black and brown communities, women, men, and even the younger generations. The civil rights movements of the 1960s, the women's suffrage movement looking for gender equality, the Black Lives Matter movement, which is a direct referendum against state-sanctioned violence against brown and Black bodies. And now, we see a new movement cropping up with our younger generation, Gen Z, who is speaking out against gun violence and gun reform. Whatever side of the coin you stand on, a common thread that is woven through each of these challenges and each of these movements is that of advocacy. Whether these voices have been bruised, battered, or even bloodied, there is a sense of beauty that each of these challenges have produced. While the rose can be admired when it lies within a bouquet, there is something to be said about the rose, or those roses that grow from concrete. The rose that grew from concrete lets us know that there is beauty in every circumstance. And our circumstances, our surroundings, do not define us nor our potential. We are all born into this world with a purpose that can only be achieved through existing beyond our own self and our own self-accomplishments. See, how I got to this time and place in my life is a winding road. The story of many politicals and political commentators begins with some nuanced story of how they grew up and what they experienced or how they saw something. Even for some, how someone in their family was a victim of some sort of injustice, or how they watched countless episodes of In the Heat of the Night or Law and Order. For me, my story does not begin in the civics classroom of my high school or in the library of my college campus. Instead, my story begins in my adulthood on a beige couch in my living room. As a Nigerian immigrant, I have always been aware of the ways that government and government officials can impact people and eventually an entire society. This imagery of corruption and turmoil have served as a placeholder in my mind of what can happen when a society has reached a political breaking point. I have always been an active citizen since the age of 18, have made it my duty to participate in the civic process of our democracy. Even though I have voted countless times before, something about the 2016 presidential election felt different. So going into the presidential election in 2016, what became clear, crystal clear, was that Hillary Rodham Clinton was going to be the next president. If I was a betting woman, I would have hopped the first flight to Nevada and reached my limit on the Vegas Strip. Because I knew, we all knew, we were about to witness history. And the first woman was going to be elected the President of the United States. Was Hillary my favorite candidate? No. But in life, we deal with the hand that we're dealt, and we move on. Furthermore, there was no way that Donald Trump was going to win this thing. No way. His antics, along with his attacks against black and brown people, against women, against the disabled, no. We're better than that. We are Americans. We are much, much better than that. We do not behave in such a manner, especially if you hold the highest office of the land. Donald Trump and politicians like him only exist in developing third world countries. As an immigrant, I say that from a place of experience. So, like most Americans, election night comes, what do? I pop my popcorn, pour the chilled glass of keynote, sit on my couch to watch the results of election 2016 and the finale of what have been the greatest political circus of my recent memory. The first results come in, and look at that. Donald Trump has won a state. Nothing secret, good for him. It's not going to be a landslide. Let's keep this thing moving. I have an 8 a.m. lecture tomorrow, so come on, let's get with it. The next state comes in. Donald Trump has won the state. Okay, fine. Beginner's luck. The next state, and the next state, and the next state. At this point, I don't know what's going faster. The states that are coming in, or me pouring the wine from the bottle into the glass, because I really don't know what's going on here. And then my question becomes, who are these people who are voting for Trump? What is happening? As I sat in front of my TV, I had a chill run down my spine. And an awakening that something almost sinister was about to take place. I quickly grabbed a bottle of water because if you guys are paying attention to anything I'm saying here, I'm about 4 glasses in on the peanut. So I'm like, okay, if anything is about to happen, I need to sober up, and I need to sober up very quickly to see what's about to happen. So I frantically grabbed my water and started drinking. And there it was, with my own 2 eyes, at the bottom of the Chiron, It reads, Donald J. Trump, elected 45th President of the United States. No, they can clap, they voted, it's fine. But I was numb. I was very numb. My first thought was, what have we done? I could not move. I could not cry. I could not scream. But for some strange reason, I could write. In less than 1 hour, I poured my heart onto a piece of paper. And with over 5,000 words, I wrote a piece entitled, Donald Trump did not win, hatred did. By the time our article was complete, most Americans were asleep, but by the time the editors ran my article, every American was awake and was aware of the results of the election. Much to my surprise, the words I spoke touched the hearts and minds of many Americans, and it spread like wildfire. And it led to many contentious debates on national TV and syndicated radio. Till today, I'm still debating this. My dismay came not from a place that Republicans or populists or even Donald Trump himself was bad people at all. No, not at all. But that Donald Trump and his presidency pose a threat to my existence, my Black existence. Oftentimes, Trump will pose the question, what do Black people really have to lose? Well, here we are, 15 months into his presidency, and I can answer that question with one word: everything. However, when we hear Black and brown people speak about the fear of this administration and the ways that this administration has impacted them, the first thing we hear is, but Black and Hispanic unemployment is at an all-time low. Well, let's start there, shall we? The unemployment rate of Black and Hispanics are at an all-time low. But to that I say, thank you, Obama. We cannot fall for the pervasive narrative that this administration came in and made sweeping changes and overhauled the government in such a way that resulted in record lows, when we all know, we are all aware, that unemployment rates have been at record low downfall since 2011. But aside from that, the dubious narrative of unemployment, there are illicit transgressions from Trump against people of color that cannot be understated. The media often falls back on euphemisms when describing Trump and his antics. They use terms like racially loaded, that was racially tinged, that was racially insensitive. Heck, I'm a political commentator, I've used some of those words myself. And let's not forget Donald Trump, with his own words, has said, he is the least racist person ever. Totally. Totally. But here is the unabashed truth. To some people, Donald Trump could be viewed as a racist. And I will pause there. Because when you say the term racist, there's a connotation that comes with it. But it surprises us when people are so taken aback by that labeling that they are almost more offended by that term than the actual commentary that come along with that term that make you use that word. But the truth of the matter is clear. Trump talks about and treats people differently based on their race. He has done so for years, and he is still doing so. But I am a professor, and it's not fair to make such comments unless it's rooted in research and is rooted in evidence. So let's take a step back here, and please indulge me as I discuss what I call Trump's Race Hall of Fame. Honestly, where do I start? How about 1970? How about 1970 when Trump's real estate company tried at all costs to keep out African Americans from their housing practices and had preferential treatment for white Americans, so much so they were sued? Or how about when Trump said, Black guys counting my money, I hate it. I think the guy is lazy. And it's probably not his fault because you know why? Laziness is a trait in Blacks. Or maybe in 1989 when Trump took out ads in the New York newspaper urging the death penalty of 5 black and brown boys accused of raping a white woman in Central Park. He even made those accusations that these boys are guilty as recent as October of 2016. That would make sense except for the fact that 10 years have passed since DNA evidence has proved that these individuals are not guilty of this crime. But my critique is not fair, because I'm giving examples from 20 years ago, and people change. People are different. We all make mistakes. Well, not so fast. How about Trump's recent crusade where he uses the gang MS-13 to disparage against all immigrants and say all immigrants are criminals? And let's not forget December 2015, where Trump called for a total and complete shutdown of all Muslims entering the United States. And then in June 2017, when Trump said 15,000 recent immigrants from Haiti all have AIDS, and 40,000 Nigerians, my home country, should be happy to be in America because they don't want to go back to the mud huts in which they're from. He called white supremacists in Charlottesville very fine people, and he makes it a hobby to frequently criticize prominent African-American athletes for being unpatriotic, ungrateful, and disrespectful. So again, when black and brown people say we live in a country where our president does not like people who look like us, we are not posing alternative opinions. We are stating unequivocal facts. When situations happen, we as eyewitnesses have two options. We can either tell the story or be a part of the story. The latter creates a unique opportunity for us to not only change our own lives, but the lives of others who may not have the resources to do so. See, what our country is experiencing right now at this very moment is greater than one man or one presidency. As a nation, we are all experiencing a collective awakening. The moment when you realize that something special is happening and a tidal wave is rising. I cannot believe what I am about to say, but I am glad that Donald J. Trump was elected the president. His election showed our nation what happens when we become bystanders in a process instead of being an active participant. What happens when we see injustice and say, I will let others take care of it because I'm sure they see it too? What happens when we say, what is the worst that can happen? This moment, this time in our history shows us what truly happens when we abandon our obligations. See, this is not about those who voted for Trump and those who did not. This is not about that. This is deeper than politics. This is about us witnessing injustice and standing by idly. People often say, I wonder what I would have done during the Civil Rights Movement. I wonder what I would have done during the women's suffrage. I wonder what I would have done during the Vietnam War. Well, the answer is very simple. It's exactly what you are doing now. See, injustice comes in many forms and impacts each generation in its own unique way. It's never a matter of if injustice will happen, but rather what form will injustice manifest itself. However, I am heartened because we cannot deny that something about this moment and this very time feels different. People are speaking up, people are using their platforms, all in the spirit of advocacy. With just a laptop as a tool, I spoke not just for myself, but for all those who believe that the election of Trump was a referendum against them and against the very thing they cannot change, which is their race. The spirit of advocacy dwells in all those who say, I will no longer sit idly while my neighbor is experiencing injustice. This is not about the man that occupies 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This is about all of us using our voice, our platforms, our privilege to change the lives of others. We have no choice but to be advocates. See, my path is different. My path has led me to speak out for people who look like me, but may not have the same access that I do. But this journey for advocacy has many paths. As attorneys, you, yes you, by nature and by profession, are the physical manifestation of an advocate. You advocate for your clients, for Main Street, against the injustices of Wall Street. You advocate on behalf of your clients to forge a better future for themselves and get a fresh restart on life. Whether it's a Nigerian immigrant named Wendy who wrote an op-ed at 2 a.m. or an attorney who's been practicing for 16 years, our journey and our call to action is synonymous. We must use our platforms and voices to advocate and speak out against injustices experienced by individuals around us. There is no gray area anymore. We all have a duty. For many politicals, the dust on this administration will settle. Whether by impeachment or election, there will be a time when Donald J. Trump no longer is the president. And we have to ask ourselves, what side of history will we be on? For you, when the dust quails and you have followed your last petition, will your clients view you simply as their attorney or revere you as their advocate? Families rely on you to be their advocate and help them realize the fresh start that bankruptcy should provide. So your advocacy skills are needed more so than ever, as it is a means for survival for your clients. As you face the gridlock in Washington, battle the Republican-held White House and Congress, and try your best to attend to the issues of student loan and bankruptcy, are you facing these issues solely from the lens of an attorney or the vantage point of an advocate? Because how you face your problems, these problems, that impact you as some of you guys here are solo practitioners, will dictate the strategies you use to solve them. This is your call to action, to change how you view your profession and your role in society. The world has many attorneys, many attorneys, but the world needs more advocates. As you celebrate 26 years of defending consumers and speaking on their behalf, I implore you to think intently on how you deepen your position and utilize your platform for others. So as I stand here as a political commentator in a room full of attorneys and ask myself for the second time, why would bankruptcy attorneys care about the interplay that exists between Trump and racism? The answer is clear. We are both faced with a unique set of problems, but we share a common strategy. Whether we are Republicans or Democrats, black or white, male or female, political or attorney, our mission on this earth is simple. We should all be advocates. Using our power, our privilege, our platform is not an option, but our intrinsic professional responsibility. So next time you speak to a potential client and they say they are looking for an attorney, look them square in the eye and say, yes, I can be your attorney, but I'd much rather be your advocate. Thank you.